101.7 FM.
Gary L. Smith here sitting in for Fentu Tahiru, who will not be in this chair, but he will be here. How's your Christmas been? Mine has been quiet. I've been keeping it quiet. The only real event I attended was the Joy FM party in the park, which was all sorts of amazing at the Bree Botanical Gardens. All sorts of amazing, Charlie. Yeah, but the football people did not want us to have a quiet Christmas, Charlie. News everywhere. Too much news. Before you could say Jack, there's another one. It was nice to see the Joy Sports team leading at all corners. That's what we do. Starting the agenda this year with the Sports Authority. Getting results right here on the show. And then leading the agenda again, Fentuo going around the country to look at the youth resource centers. Remember, it culminated in the hasty and quick fixing of the Koforidia Youth Resource Center that was used for the Independence Day celebration. You remember all that? And then it also led to the Sports Ministry and the National Youth Authority coming on our shows to tell us for the first time, telling Ghanaians that they have a plan that involved not doing all the youth resource centers at the same time, and that they were going to do them in phases. Following that, we saw the fixing of one or two of them, which culminated, of course, in the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, opening the Koforidia Sports Complex. That was just about within the last 7 days. So we've been keeping the GFA on its toes. Initially, we did some reports on the FIFA forward funding. That was 2 months ago in October. That was when I first got the hint in London that something was coming. And over the last 2 weeks, we've been working with FIFA on the reports. When the reports came, we brought them to you, brought them to the attention of the general public and to Ghanaians. We believe it influenced heavily what people thought the GFA was using the FIFA funding for, and then the subsequent discussion on the camping of the Black Stars, which will be a major thing for us to talk about today as well. So this is the Joy Sports team. This is what we do. Public service journalism. I'm Gary L. Smith, together with Muftar Nabila, who has also been a very big thorn in the flesh of the authorities this year, doing his bit, from athletics, questioning people all the time, football, questioning people, even boxing. I've collected their share. Big ups to Muftar Nabila Abdullah and man like Fentu Tahiru, causing trouble all over the place, and the rest of the team who have been the support system. So you might see our faces out there, but we need a solid support system, and we can't have done any of it without you, because if you they give us the fire, you see that thing, yeah man, you give us the morale, you give us the fire, and then of course we and you fight now and again. You see, on Twitter we go back and forth, on the banter on Facebook, and even on the show, but it's all good. It's all in the service of our dear country, Ghana. So today we'll do the last one. Today we'll do the last fighting. The last fighting. So did you know that for the first time since the Black Stars are going to be camping in Ghana? Yeah. If I opened the phone lines and I asked you, when was the last time the Black Stars camped in Ghana ahead of an AFCON or a World Cup? Would you know? Should we test the theory? Make I open the phone line so that you, just for like some 5 minutes. Okay, my producer says here, just for 5 minutes. Then we'll give you what we have in terms of all the countries and where they are camping. There's been a few lists here and there about who is camping, but we have the definite list now. We've put it out on socials, but if you are not on our socials, why not? But please check our socials. We have the graphic there as well. And then we'll educate you a bit on the Black Stars and the last time they were here in Ghana. Of course, we're expecting Henry Asante Twum in about 5 minutes. Then he will talk about, Chris Hughton, the Black Star squad, and the camping. So we begin the show shortly, but the phone lines are open. 0302-216-541. We'll let you give an initial salvo of what you think of the camping Wahala, the South Africa decision to camp in Johannesburg. What you think influenced the decision of the powers that be, that's the Sports Ministry and the GFA, to change from South Africa to Kumasi in Ghana as well. And what your thoughts are going forward. What should we do to ensure that the Black Stars have the support of all of us? Because at the time the decision was made to go to South Africa, a lot of you were telling us on our socials that these are the things that make you angry and take your love away from the Black Stars. Thankfully, they listened, to be fair to them. Is this what will let you support the Black Stars unconditionally during the AFCON? Let us know. Okay? So, game plan is live. We are streaming. I see all the links out. While I wait for your calls in about 15 seconds, I'll be posting it on my own X handle and also on the handle of my Facebook and so on. But let me welcome the guys. I wanted to say the guys in studio, but Charlie, members, Merry Christmas, members. Merry Christmas, members.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. How has it been, Sitsofe? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's been quiet. It's been home with family.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, just chilling out with the family. We've been very busy this year. So
hey, something just occurred to me.
Just me.
Yeah. No, I'll just you shortly. Daddy, how's the Christmas been?
It's been different.
It's been what?
It's been different.
Different like how?
This one, there's a little bit of spice attached to it.
The man is married fresh.
There's a what?
All my life, 24.
No, use this microphone. I think the other one is alright.
All my life on Christmas Eve. I wake up on Christmas Day, I turn to my left, to my right, empty bed. But this time around, I woke up, turned to my left. I said, oh Lord.
Oh Lord,
man.
You have done it again.
I love this. This looks good, man.
This is good, man.
Oh my goodness.
So what I noticed, guys, is that this year, Fento Tahiro, Sitsofe,
Present say.
Danny Koranteng,
All of us,
something has changed.
Left the market.
Here we go. It's been a here we go for the squad, man.
Yeah.
So the Christmas has been different for the squad, man.
It's been sweet. It's been sweet. That's why I've stayed home a lot this Christmas.
Yes,
I've been home.
You have been home. You plural.
I've been homely.
You've been homely.
We've been homely.
You've been homely. Charlie, so the phone lines are open. 0302-216-541. As I welcome Muftar Nabila. Muftar, can you hear me? 1, 2, 3.
God, I can hear you loud and clear.
Fantastic. Muftar is joining us via Zoom. Charlie, we to the Christmas break, we our team also had a Christmas team and a New Year team. So you have half the team here in studio and then half our Muftar. He's celebrating with his family also at some coded location. Muftar, what do you say?
Yeah, it's at some coded location. So that's why we did.
Yeah, Muftar, please. If we are to expect an outdooring in a few months, let us know.
Let us prepare. This time Ghana hard, so prepare.
Yeah, let's know. I beg you. Outdooring.
So please, President and then Sitsofe for do first. Make them do first. Me, I be leader. I be landlord.
You be landlord.
The children will go. You can't vote give my Pekin to be president of Ghana.
Okay. All right. While we wait for the phone calls, guys, so thank you for joining us as well. Charlie, it's been an interesting week. Danny, it was a week by this time that we put out the FIFA report on the FIFA forward funding, which opened a lot of eyes, on what the monies allocated to the various FAs. For our purposes, we focus on the teams in Africa, right? Even though the report was for countries around the world, on what they used it for. how do you think that discussion, because last week we touched on it, factored into what people or the deductions they made or the conclusions they reached with the campaign and everything that came? How do you think that factored into the way people commented on it? Okay, I'm told we have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, who am I speaking to? And Merry Christmas.
Good afternoon. My name is Sitsofe.
Niapnes, what's up? Thank you for joining us throughout the year.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah,
and I'm greeting an accounting too. So
he said
I've been beating me on Twitter for some time now.
Big boss, agreed.
Okay.
Talk to me.
I have a little submission on one on the Mediama coach. I work with him at my youth for some time. I had some brief. I worked with him for like a year when he first came to Ghana. And he's very good. He made sure, I hope everyone in the studio knows about the fans of Ewusu.
Yeah, go ahead.
Of Samatex, yeah. He made sure the guy scored almost 30 goals in the Division 1 league when he came. So he's very good tactically and he will help them since he's a 4-3-3 coach. And furthermore too, I also want to speak on the Black Stars issue on how they changed. It's very bad because FIFA said no politics in football, especially when government have to enter. But it seems like these people, they are lost because they don't want to involve any Ghanaian media on anything that they want to do. So I was very surprised Henry Asante Twum to be in your studio. So I'll be keenly listening to him on whatever he's going to say. And I also bring my submission online. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll be waiting for your questions on X, aka Twitter, as well. Yeah, if your calls are coming through right now, but we are just about beginning the show, and we'll be going to 3. And once we go with Henry, you know, it will be difficult to put in the phone call. So a few minutes here. But Danny, I was asking you, what are your thoughts on how all that impacted the way people saw things?
Look, it was a very good discussion last week. And it's one of those that is very, very necessary for it to happen, especially in the media space, because you see, over the years, we knew that the FIFA Forward Fund was coming, and we knew, in fact, to access it, you need to what's it called, fulfill certain parameters. And once the money was coming, in our minds, the GFA are fulfilling those parameters. But if you don't compare it to what is happening elsewhere, you may not see how poorly or how well you are doing. So when that report came out and we started comparing, especially in terms of projects, what we could access and how much we were failing to access, then you understand why people should be upset. And it's like when people saw that comparison and they look at some of these quote-unquote smaller nations in terms of football and how much they were... what's even the word? How much they were keen on bridging the gap between themselves and then the bigger nations by doing what they had to do to access the money, to put in the groundwork and build certain things that are very important. Then you could see that now over here we are really sleeping on the job. And I think that's what opened a lot of people's eyes, because you could even extend the conversation. Look at some of those smaller nations who had built hostel facilities with technical centers and things. When it comes to competitions like this, they don't need to go outside to go and camp, because the FA has invested money to catering for some of these things, and it goes a long way into saving even the government's money.
Yeah.
So it's December, people want to chill, people don't have money, then we have this conversation, then you compare it to what is happening elsewhere, and then you start thinking to yourself, if we were serious and we had put in a proper plan, we had done things in the interest of the game in this country, maybe we would not have been needing government's taxpayers' money to fund some certain things when it comes to the Black Stars. Especially, imagine we had a technical center or a center that had hostel facilities for national teams.
Yeah.
And remember the Azuma Nelson Sports Complex? When it was built originally, that was its intended purpose. In fact, certain national teams were camping there back in the day, and then it deteriorated, and now we are where we find ourselves.
Winneba as well.
But look at what is happening in Morocco. If the Moroccan national team is based in Morocco, they go to the Mohammed they sit. They don't go to a hotel or they don't start looking for, because they've invested money and they are reaping the benefits. So they're able to save some of these things. But when we had that discussion last week, and as I said, it opened a lot of people's eyes as to what could be and why it is not happening that way. Then we can start asking the FA some serious questions, because yes, maybe you have operational costs. Nobody's talking about, nobody has qualms about that. What we're talking about is the projects where FIFA has literally told you that we are going to give you money based on if you are willing to do certain things, and we'll give it to you free, and you do it for those things. But it looks like we are not interested in that. And it is no coincidence that countries like Comoros and these small teams are beginning to rub shoulders with us, because they are doing the football. We are just playing. They are doing the football. And as I said, look, the modern game is advancing so quickly. You said it over and over and over again on this show, that it's not really about talent anymore. It's not really about talent anymore. There are a lot of technicalities to it, and those who are fixing their football education from the ground up, and it comes with all these things: infrastructure, coaching, education. So if you are putting projects in place to cater for these things, it is you have a very high chance that in the next 10-15 years the graduating batch will be able to rub shoulders with the best of Africa. Look at Mauritania and the project they did that culminated in they going to the AFCON 2019. There are so many examples on the continent. People who just put their foot. Look at what Senegal are doing. Now they are dominating across board. Morocco, and these are the blood if you cut our skin all through, like it's all red. It's not like our own is light blue or something. So it's just about a lack of seriousness, and that discussion was very necessary. In fact, the game, since game plan started, I'm sure the listeners will agree that the perspective that was put in place last week, where our eyes were open to last week, it's for me, in terms of education, it's at the top in terms of the shows that we've done.
And for me, I mean, I'm so glad that happened, because it came right on the eve of the campaign discussion.
Yeah.
So, like, people were informed, people were armed, people had ample information to say that no, like, you could have done
this,
so
you didn't.
Yes, it is true that we don't have the best pitches in Ghana, but over the period, if these are monies we were getting, we shouldn't not have these facilities, so that we are looking outside the country and here. Yeah. So for me, that was what was really, really good about it all. Fentu has joined us on Zoom as well. Fent, happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays, guys. How are you?
Yeah, we're okay, Charlie. Okay, I had to put my
apologies about the video, because I'm in the middle of something somewhere. So
hey,
I'm actually inside of
Charlie.
You are where?
I came to beg for forgiveness for all of you, especially Daniel, especially the things he did before he got married. So I'm here to beg to God for forgiveness on his behalf.
So Vento wants to tell us that he's on the holy pilgrimage.
All the fights he has engaged in this year on Twitter, he has told people off too much. So I pray for him, so he goes into the new year with a different heart, so he can let the people breathe, because he has suffered too much in his heart.
All right. So Vento joins us as well. They'll be joining us throughout the discussion from now to 3. Sito, we are laying the groundwork for the main discussion.
Yeah.
The campaign thing that came, what was your initial thought when we were told that South Africa was where we were going?
Yeah, I think I was just okay. The moment the communication was that it was the sole decision of the coach. So my next question was going to be, what were the factors that influenced the thought that South Africa would be a best place to prepare ahead of a competition that is being hosted in Cote d'Ivoire? And the first thing that comes to the average football fan's mind is weather. But the weather is not the only thing that a coach needs to put a team together and get a team prepared. There are several other factors. In fact, in the context of weather, some managers prefer working in the extreme opposite weather ahead of and then easing into the other weather ahead of the tournament. So, for example, in going into the World Cup, there were some countries who camped in their country because around that time is the summer and it was very cold. And few days to the main tournament in Qatar, they moved towards the Gulf. Some went to Saudi Arabia, some went to UAE, even some got into Qatar to play their final round of games. So when you look at what Switzerland did, they started their campaign in Europe where it was cold. They came down to UAE where they played a friendly match with Ghana, and several other countries do that. So we needed to know the whole plan about why it was necessary or was important for the coach to make that sole decision that we go and camp in South Africa. The other side of it is that why can't we camp in Ghana and get ourselves ready for a competition that is just close by? Why do we have to travel the long miles to SA and travel back to the west of the continent to play in Cote d'Ivoire? So I could understand where the arguments and both conversations were coming from. Now we hear now, or we know now, that the ministry, the GFA, have said that we would camp in Ghana. So my question is, what were the factors that brought about the decision to camp in SA? And will camping in Ghana make up for these factors that inform the decision to go to SA? Yes. And that is crucial, because
what you are saying is that the camping in SA was supposed to be for some quality purposes.
It has to be, because it was the sole decision of the coach.
Yes. So if they are camping in Ghana, are we compromising quality for cost?
Yeah,
which is also a
it's either we're compromising quality for cost, or we found a way to mitigate those that the quality would have had in SA. We found a way to bring the same environment or something here in Ghana. And so that is why I'm excited that maybe Henry will join us to bring clarity to those things, because these are crucial. You don't just decide to go to SA and flip to say you want to camp in Ghana, because they are two different places, very completely different, especially around this time of the year. Very, very different. I mean, a lot of Europeans like to come to SA around this time, and when it is, very, very cold in SA, a lot of people from there want to go to Europe. So it is. I don't know why the coach, as they said, solely decided that we should go to SA, and now GFA and government says, or ministry government says we should camp in Ghana. And what is opportunity cost? What are we losing if we camp in Ghana? And why should we have gone to camp in SA?
Fantastic. This is why this is game plan. We have quite a number of answers. We wanted the official position. We invited Henry Asante Twum. I mean, just before we started the show, we called him again. He said he'll be here shortly, so we are waiting for him. No pressure at all. He's home. I mean, this is home. We did for him. He's our colleague and all that. But Fent, if I am not mistaken, you broke the news of the Kumasi camping before anybody else. So once we have laid the foundation for listeners who may not have been up to speed on why the decision happened, it's best, or it makes sense, that we come to you for some perspective on how the Kumasi decision came to you and how you gave it to us about 3 hours before the official communication was made. Fent, over to you.
Yeah, Gary. I think that this is probably one of those rare occasions where public sentiments were heeded to. In the past, we've had issues with our concerns about so many things regarding football that have not particularly been listened to. The biggest elephant in the room continues to be what's happening at the National Sports Authority and their treatment of the Accra Sports Stadium or all our other facilities. Nobody seems to be listening, and it just looks like we are just hungry dogs backing away. But this particular incident, this particular change of decision from South Africa to Kumasi is one of those rare occasions where you can say the masses and the public interest groups finally got one over those who hitherto were making the decisions. And I think credit to the general public in all honesty, because the way people were very loud, especially on social media, about this decision, the outrage was quite uniform, and we all united against that particular decision. For obvious reasons that Sitsofe explained, there was no explanation whatsoever that would suffice, that would convince me that we were making a better decision by going to South Africa. Not a single argument would have satisfied me. Not the weather argument, not the privacy argument, not the distraction argument. What distraction? There are more distractions in South Africa than there are in Ghana.
If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
Short memory. We know exactly what goes on in South Africa. Ghana has a very interesting history with South Africa. So it is not entirely the case that, it is going to be a bubble once they end up in South Africa. So, like I said, no single argument would have sufficed to convince me that we're making the right decision by going to South Africa. Financially, economically, sporting-wise, environmentally, not a single one. Maybe the only one anybody can say would be that they have better facilities. Okay, whose fault is that? So, and I think that once the decision came out, the public outcry, it got to people, very powerful people in government. And so the minister summoned a meeting on Wednesday. It was at that meeting that he told them, it wasn't even a discussion. It was where he told the GFA that this is what's coming from government. This is a situation. You cannot go to South Africa. We can't let you go there. You have to choose somewhere else to come, but it has to be here in Ghana. And ultimately, they settled on Kumasi because obviously Professor Peter Chimesi has damaged the Accra Sports Stadium pitch, so that was not an option. Kumasi pitch obviously is passable. Let me put it that way. And there are hotel facilities there. They come there all the time when they are playing qualifying matches. So they would use their Accra Sports Stadium. Pajo is there. There are other options that they could use in terms of training and preparing for the competition. Also, it's slightly closer to Cote d'Ivoire, so it makes more sense. Environmentally, it makes sense. Climate-wise, it makes sense. And even for me, the biggest reason I think this makes a lot of sense is that this is one opportunity for the fans to get closer to the team. There is a massive palpable discord between the Black Stars and their fans at the moment. And, in the attempt to try and bring back the love, I thought going to South Africa and taking the team so far away from the public was such a massive error. It was basically, for me, undoing all of that campaign that they have worked on over the last few years, trying to bring the fans back to the stadium, trying to bring the fans back to supporting the national team. And I think, like I said, the public outcry was basically what informed this decision. We know what led to even the South Africa decision, because initially, and Henry should be I think Henry should be in the studio now.
Yeah,
I see him.
Studio.
So he should be able to confirm to us. He was the one that said that the decision to go to South Africa was the coach's decision, which is fair because the coach came up with the South Africa decision, but only after his first decision to camp in Ghana was knocked away. Whoever decided that it wasn't a great decision, Henry is here to tell us. But we know that South Africa was in fact not the coach's first decision. And those of us with contacts to people around the coach, with sources, we know that for sure, that the coach's first preference was not to go to South Africa. Having said that, I think that the right decision was made eventually. Going to camping in Kumasi was the right idea, was the right decision. Whatever happened, I saw somebody tweeted at me saying that now if they go to the AFCO and they get kicked out early, they would come and blame us and say we dragged them to Kumasi. And I say that is nonsense, because we have gone to camp in Abu Dhabi and got knocked out in the group stages. How much worse can it get? So there is no way anybody could possibly blame any future poor performances of the team on camping in Kumasi, because we have previously given the team the best environment to campaign, and they've gone and put up shambolic performance. And the last AFCON is a good example. So for me, I think they made the wrong decision initially by deciding to go to South Africa. They've seen the sense in everybody's cry, in everybody's thoughts and reasoning, and now they've changed that decision to Kumasi. And I think that is the right decision they've made. We can support them. I think it's pointless now going in circles and talking about why did you go to South Africa in the first place. They've seen the light. They've made the right decision. They're now going to camp in Kumasi, where the Black Star support has always been the biggest. Time now for Mr. Asante Twum and his people to look at what they can do in the next 10 days in terms of activations to try and get the fans closer to the team, because it's absolutely necessary for them to do that. Organize the supporters, talk to the supporters group, organize some meet and greet, whatever it is you need to do that and make sure that the fans have the team support. And then the Ministry of Youth and Sports has to tap into that. All right, because we have massive support in Kumasi. The students are still there. What about you organize buses? All right, register some fans. In fact, they can even do day trips, to be honest, to Cote d'Ivoire and back. You don't necessarily need to go and keep them there. So that the fans that they're connected to in Kumasi, they can be the same ones to follow them to Cote d'Ivoire to go and support the team. Because I would be very disappointed if any other country apart from Cote d'Ivoire has more supporters in the stadium than Ghana. We have absolutely no reason not to have because STC already goes to Cote d'Ivoire. It's a reliable route that they already do. So liaising with them and collaborating with them is not such a big deal. In fact, you don't even need to pay for these supporters. I guarantee you right now that if we said, Joy Sports, we're organizing a trip to Cote d'Ivoire, we have STC, this is the price. There are people that would come and pay and go on that trip to go and watch the game and come back to Ghana. So everything is now in perfect situation, perfect condition for the team to go out there and bank on the support of the fans here,
right,
and go and do well in Cote d'Ivoire. So all in all, I think that the right decision has been made. Let's move forward. I don't know what was going through the minds of people when they made that initial decision, but it's not something that I would like to dwell on now. The right decision has been made. They've listened to the public, and they should have done that in the first place. They didn't, but they've done it now. And I think going forward, like, really bank on this situation.
Okay, thanks. You're breaking a bit, but your point is very, 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 very well made. I'll piggyback on what you just said with just some two statistics as well, just so that we get some good perspective on the last thing that Fen said. Meanwhile, Henry Asante Twum has joined us, GFA spokesperson. Henry, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
My pleasure, Gary.
Yeah, so Fen, if you can hear me, Muftar, you're also there as well. In context of what you just said, the top 5 teams, the official top 5 teams list of those who have bought tickets is out from CAF, and 10 days is a long time for us to put things together, especially now that we know that the team are camping here. If they see them a few times and all that, they should be able to whip up some interest for people to buy the tickets and show, because some of the tickets, you check the tickets rate and you convert them. Charles, one thing to Ghana cities, like one thing, they are quite accessible for a number of Ghanaians who are in a situation to travel, who want to travel. I mean, if you go to Kumasi now and in 10 days the activations are good and people feel like, Charlie, I don't go, especially on day trips, to Cote d'Ivoire, we can be among the top 5 teams by the time the group stage has ended. So the top 5 teams: 1, Cote d'Ivoire, they've bought just over 32,000 tickets. 2nd, Guinea-Bissau, 28,000 tickets, just over that. Equatorial Guinea have bought just over 16,000 tickets. Nigeria, not too surprising, is it, have bought just over 12,500 tickets. Senegal have bought just over 10,000 tickets. So these are the top 5 teams in terms of the tickets sold. Now, for what matches have people bought the most tickets for the AFCON 2023? 1, Cote d'Ivoire versus Guinea-Bissau, which makes sense if you look at the number, match day 1. Yeah. Right. 2, Cote d'Ivoire versus Nigeria. I mean, you don't need explaining for that one.
Biggest game in the group.
Yeah. A joint second is Equatorial Guinea versus Guinea-Bissau.
Rivalry. The Guinea Derby.
3, Equatorial Guinea versus Cote d'Ivoire. It also makes sense looking at the number of exactly. Now, what people don't know is that Equatorial Guinea have a sizable population in La Cote d'Ivoire as well, for some historical reasons and stuff like that. Mozambique versus Ghana is also joint 3rd. In terms of,
if you really buy the tickets, or
I don't know. But Mozambique versus Ghana as well. Then joint 4th, Senegal, Cameroon. They have a big historical rivalry. Big. So because Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, Cameroon are big historical rivalries. Guinea versus the Gambia. Neighbor.
Yeah, neighbor.
And then 5, Egypt versus Ghana. Now we don't need explanation for that one. So this should give you some perspective on how the ticket sales are going and how we can plug into it and make sure that we make sure we have a good AFCON experience. It's 1:55 here in our studios on Joy 99.7 FM. The game plan is powered by the Joy Sports team, but also fueled by Petrosol. Every drop matters, just as every penny counts. Did you know that quality fuel enhances your vehicle performance and reduces maintenance costs? Take no risk in times like this. All you need is value for your money. Look no further. Drive to the next Petrocell fuel station for your clean, accurate quantity fuel suitable for new technology vehicles. Be a happy customer. Fuel with smiles, drive more miles, and save some money. Petrocell, your clean fuel, your clean quality fuel in full quantity. Petrocell, always a delightful experience. The festive season is upon us, and DSTV, in collaboration with Electromart, has the perfect Christmas gift for everyone. Buy an LED TV 55-inch and above from any Electromart outlet and get a free DSTV decoder with 1 month subscription at no additional cost. Christmas debut this year. Enjoy the action from the Premier League, especially with the great games coming. Watch our exciting drama and movie content across Aquaba Magic and all our movie channels. Don't miss out on this unmissable deal. Contact 055-275-5456. That's 055-275-5456. 055-277-7905 for more details. Terms and conditions apply. DSTV, it's your moment. So, Henry, you're welcome again. First of all, congrats on being a listening GFA and a listening government. Let's clap for them. A listening GFA and a listening government. Or Henry, you disagree?
I don't know. I don't know. Once a decision has been made, we just have to respect it. There were two decisions. Yes.
To go to South Africa.
Yeah.
And then you changed to Kumasi.
Yeah.
So by saying you don't know, you are saying that you can't confirm or deny whether it's due to public pressure.
My personal opinion doesn't count here.
No, you are here in official capacity.
I think good afternoon, Gary.
Yes.
I think that yes. First of all, a decision has been made. We've been able to find solution to where the team is going to camp. But in terms of perspectives and all the issues that have come up in the last 3-4 days, when you are going into a tournament, a number of factors come in. You need to speak to your technical team to find out what their plans are. Then management will consider the decisions of the technical team and look into it, and then ask questions. And that's exactly what happened this time round. I will be a big liar to say that Ghana was never considered in choosing a place for the team to camp during the discussions. So there were a number of countries that we considered, and Ghana was one. Togo was another, Cameroon, Benin, Equatorial Guinea before South Africa.
Please go through the list again.
Ghana was one, Togo was another, Benin, Equatorial Guinea, Cameroon, and South Africa. Now the first two players the
Muftao, relax, please.
I just want clarity. When Abu Dhabi
we will get time. Yes.
Unfortunately, I can't hear him. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, he was asking if Abu Dhabi was part.
No.
UAE was not part.
No.
Okay.
No. So yes, in choosing a place for camping, in situations like this, two things we considered. First of all, having a serene atmosphere for the team, an atmosphere devoid of intrusion, an atmosphere with minimal or no distraction whatsoever. Distraction, it could be the public distraction, it could be media distraction, it could be any other distraction. Now also, let's not forget that in times like this, your opponent are picky poking. They want to know what's going on in your camp. They sometimes send unknown people to come and monitor and look around and see what you are doing. So a serene and a distraction free atmosphere was the first major point in deciding where the team camps. Now another one, at the time we were taking the decision not to camp in Ghana, we did not have the opportunity to play any high profile friendly game either in Accra, Begro, Bekwai, Esuboy, Suhum or Takrady.
If you didn't mention Esuboy, like I go for those uninitiated, Henry comes from Esuboy, so he includes Esuboy in everything.
So in deciding or in settling on a friendly game, whether you are playing a lower intensity, mid intensity or higher intensity friendly game, you then decide what goes into organizing a friendly match. The first thing is money. Yeah. If we were going to fly a country to come to Ghana to come and play us, it means we must pay. It means you need to fly the country in and out, and it's a substantial amount of money. It means that you need to take care of their accommodation, you need to take care of their internal transport, and so forth and so on. And that's a huge sums of money you are talking about here. So, having experienced a few unfortunate scenes in Kumasi, because that's where we've played all our matches since we moved from Cape Coast. Now, Chris always decides to train behind closed doors, and it has always been impossible to train behind closed doors in Ghana. You remember, just Sunday ago, the Kotoko RTU game was moved from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. because there were 3 different funerals taking place at the Babayara Sports Stadium on the match day. And Kotoko wrote to the FA and requested for change of kickoff time. And that's a key consideration. And it's one of the major headaches we've had since we moved from Cape Coast to Kumasi to play our home matches. So with these points that I have enumerated, Ghana is completely ruled out.
At the time.
Yes, at the time.
Okay.
Now, Togo. We considered Togo because at the time we started thinking about a place of camping, Algeria had contacted us and they wanted to play us in a friendly. So it makes the Togo argument laudable. Now, in considering the Togo option as well, we realized that there is only one standard stadium in the whole of Togo, Stade de Kege. The other training option or the other field that was available or is available to the team would be an AstroTurf somewhere in one of the outskirts of Lomé. And another key issue was accommodation. The top hotel in the country had been taken, fully booked for the first 2 weeks of January. So what it means is that you are left with no option but to cancel that Togo idea. Okay. Equatorial Guinea came up. Equatorial Guinea was a big no from our technical team. Then we moved to Cameroon. Cameroon, we considered a few options. The feedback wasn't positive, so it was cancelled. Benin as well. After 1 or 2 discussions, Benin was also cancelled. So the coach said, I will go to South Africa. And that received the blessing of the executive council in making the decision to go to South Africa. It is not as if one just woke up one morning and made that decision or took the decision to camp the team in South Africa. All these factors were considered. A lot of thinking went into it. Various arguments were raised by both the technical team, the management team, which is the ESCO, because at the moment there is no Black Stars management team. And then eventually a decision was taken to send the team to South Africa because, one, we were 100% sure that the serene atmosphere and the incident and the intrusion free and distraction free atmosphere we were looking for would be fully advanced, because we will get it anyway. In South Africa, we had put measures in place to give the team the best of atmosphere you can ever think about. We had written to SAFA. They gave us 100% assurance. They gave us a good training pitch, and they also approved our friendly with Botswana. Now, the second issue, aside the intrusion-free distraction issue, is the ability to get at least one top-level friendly match. Top-level friendly match. Botswana didn't qualify for the Cup of Nations, but they had expressed interest in playing with us because they also feel it prepares them for future competitions. And once you have Botswana to play with minimal or no cost, you take it. Because if you were going to bring an opponent to Ghana to come and play, it would have cost you a substantial amount of money. So the factors tilted in favor of South Africa, having considered all the various options available to us, for which reason we settled on South Africa. We here is all of us inclusive, technical team, management, staff, everything, all of us inclusive. But it was not the sole decision of the FA to take the team to South Africa. And I remember when I saw your post, I I published something under your post as one of the comments and said it's the sole decision of the technical team because we had been in advanced discussions with the head coach and he calls the shot, the backstop with him, and he said, I want to go to South Africa. There I do not have to bother about facilities because they are there in abundance. Once we had confirmed the Botswana friendly, we were good to go. We were home and dry, and we settled on South Africa. So perspective, Gary. These are the perspectives that went into making that decision to come with the team in South Africa. I know a number of issues have come up. People have spoken about the weather condition. South Africa is cold, Ghana is warm, blah 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 blah. But maybe when we get there, I will also give you the scientific reasons behind that cold and warm issue with specific reference to cold and warm. Maybe let me touch on it before we proceed. We learned something from Avram Grant in 2015 when Avram took over the team in 2014 after our abysmal performance in Brazil. The first thing he did was to look for a camping place for the Black Stars at the time.
Yeah.
Because he came in when we had already qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations.
Yeah.
He said it is always wrong to burn out before a tournament. Burning out here, the scientific analysis he propelled at the time was that you camp in the warm and you play in the warm. There is a lot of science in it. You rather must camp in the cold and play in the warm, or camp in the warm and play in the cold. It helps your competition level. And this is why teams in England specifically, because most leagues go on break in December until January, that is why teams in England leave the cold and go to Abu Dhabi to warm themselves and come back into the cold,
Or to the south of Spain.
or to the south of Spain where it is very very warm during this time of the year,
Or Portugal.
yeah, or maybe the Scandinavia, but there the weather is so terrible to the extent that you can't even walk outside in December, January. So they normally break their leagues in November. So we looked at that as well, not to burn out before the competition, to camp in a 38 degrees Celsius weather and play in a 40 degrees Celsius weather. By the time you play your second game, your team is burnt out. And having followed that science he gave us, Ghana finished second at the Cup of Nations in Equatorial Guinea in 2015, but for the penalty miss of was it Franka Champon or a free aqua? Yes, Franka Champon and a free aqua missed their kicks. But our performance in Equatorial Guinea has been one of the best in recent times. And when we did the post-tournament analysis, the decision to camp in a cold weather and to play in a warm weather was number one, on the list. So yes, we looked at all these factors. Now, South Africa is not, at the moment, it's not as cold as it is in June, July.
They are their summer.
This is their summer. And so the cold weather argument is not too strong. Occasionally it rains, but the weather there is slightly colder than what we are experiencing here. But even here, the air we breathe is quite thin.
Humidity
up north is worse than what we have here in the south. So Gary, all these factors were considered. All these factors, including financial implications, sporting implications, and what have you, administrative implications as well. All these factors were considered before we eventually decided to camp in South Africa.
Right. So Henry, before we move on to the next thing on the issue of the weather, Avram Grant, and I heard this, about the fact that Avram Grant taught us this thing. But the counter argument immediately, especially for people at the sports ministry who I know are very well versed in the Black Stars history, your good self, President Okraku, who has been with the GFA, was a sports journalist himself. There are so many people, and they have that institutional memory. Is that this cold warm argument? We have facts that can immediately, from previous camps, put them aside immediately. So 2004 AFCON, Black Stars didn't make it, right?
Yeah.
2006 is a perfect litmus test because that is when the recent resurgence happened. So we have a generation where we can use to have a comparative analysis that is fair, because under Kwesi Nyantakyi, things were not as chaotic and have never been chaotic in terms of finding money for campaign and so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
So from 2006 till now, it's a fair reflection.
Yeah, it's a good period for us to make our analysis.
Those arguments, and so we can begin. 2006 AFCON was in Egypt.
Yes.
We had our company in Rades in Tunisia.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I had just started journalism then. So for all these things that I'm going to say, I remember the arguments that were made. Shabu, correct. Right. They said Rades Tunisia was closer to Egypt and that we wouldn't waste money and the temperatures were okay and similar to acclimatize. But the favorite word of the GFA since Rades Tunisia. So we went. We went to the AFCON, crashed out
Group stage.
at the group stage.
Chop last.
2008. 2008.
Yeah,
we
Ghana.
hosted the AFCON.
We're in Abu Dhabi.
That is when our golf relationship began. Abu Dhabi it was. We went to UAE.
Yeah.
The argument, I remember furious because they said it was a waste of money. They said distraction was the biggest thing. Reason why we went there. It
Yeah.
wasn't even a temperature issue because people also made those arguments that you are playing the AFCON if you need places to, and remember at that time we had developed the best facilities arguably in our recent history and we had everything here. So we had camping
pitches,
grounds
New training
Training
pitches.
everywhere.
Yeah.
We had camping grounds.
Hotels were good.
Hotels were good in Tamale, we had in Kumasi, we had here in Accra, we had in the west of Ghana. So, but we made that argument and we went to Abu Dhabi in the UAE. We came back, we know where we finished.
Third.
Semi-final and then third place. So, we are starting to see how the temperature thing can sometimes be used when we want and when we don't want. 2010, AFCON
Angola.
was in Angola. We went to Nelspruit in South Africa. This is before the World Cup. The South Africans at the time had spoken to us that they wanted some of the AFCON countries going to AFCON to come and camp there,
Test the facilities.
and they gave us very good deals as well ahead of the World Cup to see the readiness and how well those things
The
were.
facilities, yeah.
Now, I was in Nelspruit also at the World Cup, so I know like it was correct. The temperature was, that's where we played against Burkina Faso. Where in 2013.
Nelspruit is like maybe Wow or Boga.
Nelspruit is
It
like
looks like,
wow burger in
yeah.
terms of the way, and it's
Yeah.
cold and it's remote and all that. So distractions wise, yes, temperature wise, it was quite similar to what we had in Angola
yeah.
as well. So that was it. In 2012, we went. The AFCON was in Gabon, right? Was
Yes.
it Gabon?
2012 was Gabon,
Gabon.
Equatorial Guinea.
Gabon.
And in 2010 we were in the final.
We're in the
2010,
final.
yes.
2010 we're in the final.
Yeah.
Gabon, we camped in Rustenburg in South Africa because you say we had some good relationships there. It had worked for us in the previous AFCON,
tournament.
and then for the World
We had
Cup
some decent friendly games.
we had some different friendly games too because South Africa were building on that legacy, and so it was a hot destination at the time. A lot of countries were camping.
I think that year there were about 4 countries that camped in
Exactly,
South
so it was
Africa.
easy.
We had a
Before
very
the
good
World
friendly.
Cup.
Yes,
Yeah.
we had
It was
easy
easy.
access to friendlies as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So I remember that we went to the AFCON. Asamajan missed the
Fourth.
penalty. We finished fourth. 2013, South Africa.
South
AFCON.
Africa.
We went to Abu Dhabi.
Again.
For some reason, we didn't choose South Africa at that time, even though they had all the facilities and everything. And again, the arguments were that we have some good relationships post 2008 in Abu Dhabi, and then the temperature thing was brought. Meanwhile, the previous AFCON, that temperature argument wasn't brought. You see, they said the temperature was similar, as we had said in 2006 when we went to Rades for Egypt. But we hadn't said that in 2008 and 2010. But suddenly we said that in 2012, and we had conveniently said that again for 2013 and said we are going to Abu Dhabi. So because it was hotter, and then we calmed down and camp. So then 2015, Avangard came with this argument that Henry is talking about. So the point I'm making is that we have made a habit of picking and choosing when it is convenient for us. And to my mind, if you look at all this, even if you continued, the next AFCON, we went to Dubai again. before the AFCON in 2017.
That was
Cameroon.
17. Yeah.
And that was in Cameroon.
In Cameroon.
That was No, that was in 2017. Was in Egypt.
Egypt
Egypt
was 2019.
17 is Egypt.
Yes.
17 Cameroon.
Okay, so
Yeah.
You see, 2017 is Equatorial. One of them should be.
No, it wasn't Cameroon.
AFCON 2017 was where?
Cameroon was the recent one.
2017 was Gabon.
Gabon 2017.
Yeah.
That's what it's mixed.
Gabon.
Yeah. We went to Dubai for that one, and we came to Gabon as well. I mean, we know how that finished, right? 2019, AFCON was in Egypt. We went to Dubai again. 2021, and then we crashed out. I mean, let's not,
in the second round.
So again,
that was when they expanded the competition
to 24
teams.
2021, we're in Doha, Qatar for the AFCON in Cameroon. So Henry, you see, on the face of the pink sheet, what you are saying about Avram Grant choosing a place in it makes sense because we did well. But if you look at our last 20 years, we have had the habit of picking and choosing, and it has not necessarily reflected on us doing well or otherwise. I can actually say that there are exigent factors. You see, there are outside factors that we have either controlled well or failed to control that have impacted, and we can list a lot of them.
Number one, among the camping places you listed.
Yes.
The number one, the most important consideration of all, is the serene atmosphere.
Fine.
The distraction-free atmosphere. There was an argument about, but you have been playing in Kumasi, and we've given you the best. But Gary, if it is that you are camping for 3 days before a game or 2 days before a game, the conditions are totally different, completely different from staying in camp for a long period of time for a major tournament. Even the build-up, your training, your pattern, your preparation, mindset, psychology, team preparation, evaluation, all those factors is completely different from playing a one-off game. So there might be different places of camping since 2006 as you enumerated. But there will be number one reason and other reasons. And I am glad to say that the number one reason of all the places you have listed, regardless of the Avram argument in 2015 or any other argument from any of the coaches we have had since 2006, is the fact we have always wanted to be at a place where there is less or no distraction. If you were closer to the team, I'm sure you've been to many tournaments, you've had the chance of being closer to the team on different occasions. These players always ask for certain things that need to be provided. Now, it is mostly difficult to camp our players in Ghana because by the time you wake up in the morning, the lobby of the team hotel is full. It's either friends coming to visit, it's either relations or mother or father coming to see his or her child or her son or his son, or maybe people coming around, hey, me pay autograph, hey, me pay this, me pay that,
or full of journalists,
or colleagues of mine coming around for exclusives. But when you take the team, I don't think the issue about bringing the team closer to the people is important here. Because if in 2006 we played in Ghana, the tournament was in Ghana, we camped outside Ghana and we finished third. The team was not closer. Yeah. Sorry, 2008. The team was nowhere near Ghanaians. But every single game in that tournament, the stadium was filled to the rafters.
No. So my counter argument to you was that we went to Radest for the camping, but when we came back, we came to play a 4-nation tournament.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was
part of the build up to the tournament.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. So it's not that it wasn't important that we went to Radest and they didn't meet the people. We made provision for it.
We went to Radest to camp and came back to play a 4-nation tournament.
No, not Radest.
Sorry, no, it was in Abu Dhabi. Yes. And we came back to play a 4-nation tournament.
Yes.
The number of days they spent in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
The technical team had done everything they wanted to do for the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And the 4-nation tournament was a top up in addition to what they did in Abu Dhabi, I'm sure I was on commentary that time. At least I did 2 commentaries that time in the games, and 60-70% of the players who started our game against Benin did not start our first match against Guinea.
Okay.
They did not start our second game against is it Botswana or Namibia? We won 1-0.
Namibia.
And they did not start our last game against Morocco, which we came from behind to win 1-0, because they had prepared the team in Abu Dhabi, came here to rehearse some of the possibilities that may come up in the tournament situation by using the 4 Nations tournament. That we did we win? I think we won.
Yeah.
Yes, Ghana, Benin, Togo played in that tournament. So yes, the other factors make sense, but the number one consideration is the first point I raised about intrusion free, distraction free.
So Henry, you've made that point so that we don't belabor it. What is Fent? Muftar, you are there as well. Sicho,
Yeah.
and to the listeners, please feel free to send your questions. Henry is here. We have about 40 minutes. Let's ask all the questions we want. I'll be asking mine as well.
The questions we've been asking on social media.
Yes, 055-1111-997. And I put an initial post.
The questions that Nikkei has been posting on social media.
Yes, so I'll ask a lot from. That's why I don't want to ask my own personal questions.
That's a lot from what
people are thinking as well. So I've selected a few that are representative.
Right.
Sicho, you start while I put them together.
Yeah, Henry, you spoken about you spoke about the weather thing, which I think is a factor that can be a cherry on a well prepared team. If it's like you have fried rice, right? You can add ketchup to it, give it another flavor, but that the ketchup is still fried rice. So the weather thing can be an extra, something. But I agree, it's not the main thing. However, having heard you explain why you wanted to go to SA, and now that the team is camping in Ghana, I sense an FA and a technical team that is going to compromise, because one, you've already said that when the team camps in Kumasi or camps in 3 days, 4 days in Kumasi, you wake up to intrusions which you want to avoid. The reason why you want to go to South Africa is not a serene atmosphere as you would want. The reason why you wanted to go to South Africa. Now that the team is camping in Ghana, how are you going to mitigate that? How are you going to stop that? How are you going to stop the intrusions? How are you going to get the serenity that you are speaking about? Because it appears that we might be compromising on something that is very dear to the FA in preparing the team to excel in Cote d'Ivoire.
Very good point. So yesterday, immediately after we finished the meeting, the FA is taking steps to beef up security at the hotel. As we speak, I'm sure you don't know where the team will even camp in Kumasi. You don't know which hotel we will camp in Kumasi.
It's a matter of time.
But yes, it's just a matter.
We'll just follow the bus.
We want to try as much as possible and prepare the grounds. And so there is an advanced team in Kumasi at the moment who are working on putting things in place. We've spoken to the security apparatus to provide us with top quality security as much as possible, and here I'm talking about joint police and military, so that at least we'll be able to get that atmosphere we are looking for. Is it a compromise? I don't think it is at this particular moment, because this is a decision we have made, and the decision is binding. So you need to put all the factors or all the things in place in order to get what you are looking for. So yes, hurriedly we have started preparing, and I am sure that by Monday or Tuesday, when the players move to Kumasi, the grounds will be good enough to host them.
That's my last question for the day.
No. Please go ahead.
Yes.
That's why we are here.
Yes. You've not explained or told us why the team didn't go to South Africa and chose Ghana. You gave us the reasons why you considered all the countries that you mentioned, but there was an announcement that the team was going to SA. Why did that not happen? Because everything was set. Safa gave you the backing. Botswana was available to play against at low cost, and we pushed all that aside to say that we are camping in Ghana, Kumasi precisely. Henry, why?
Okay, why? The reason is that today we are not going to spend on paying for an opponent to play the Black Stars. At least we know that we have one higher intensity game that the team will play in Kumasi with no cost. in the past we were going to pay. If we had gone to South Africa, we would get Botswana, with low cost to play. Today, luckily for us, and it's a major factor that came up in the meeting. Luckily for us, we woke up 4 days ago and received a letter from our brothers in Namibia, that they were coming to Ghana to camp here. So the Namibia camping in Ghana argument settles everything.
So it is that
at the end of the day, you are not going to spend that substantial amount of money that I spoke about earlier.
So it's that one game that changes everything.
Yes.
And not the public outcry. So if we're going to get a free game in SA and would have had to pay less to bring a team to Ghana, we would have been in SA for camping.
Yes.
Not the public outcry.
No.
Right.
Okay. So Henry, in terms of camping in Ghana, you mentioned that the considerations were serenity and all that. Right now you are going to be in Kumasi.
Yeah.
Because of all the reasons you have given, especially Henry Sitso asked a direct question, why did you? And you've answered why. Couldn't we have used these same decisions before even thinking of South Africa, so that we didn't even have to think of South Africa? Because I'm thinking, for example, Accra Day, just outside Accra, the Right to Dream, if you agree with me, has facilities that are pristine, calm, is secluded, and security can be arranged for us to camp or have our training sessions at Right to Dream. In terms of accommodation, it may not be Black Star standard. However, there are places around the Akosombo enclave. In fact, 15 minutes away, the Royal Century Hotel is there. Isn't that, for example, an option we could consider?
Then you think about your friendly.
So the friendly was the game changer.
Very, very important.
Because after you've
Very,
had
very
the tactical
important.
everything, you have to test it.
Test it, yes.
Okay.
To know the readiness of your team. If it was going to come at a cost, you have to pay for the opponent. Not only that, if you come at Right to Dream and you want to play a high profile friendly game, today the Accra Sports Stadium is not available, so you need to look elsewhere. Will you send the opponent to Kumasi and send the team to Kumasi to go and play the friendly match and come back to Accra Day? That's another issue.
Okay. All right. I mean, in the context of everything, it won't be a problem. For me, it won't be a problem.
I think technically it will be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Henry.
that we disagree on that. Danny,
Yeah.
you come and then I go to social media.
The way I respect that, the way I respect disagreement.
Yeah. We agree to disagree.
Yeah.
So after Danny, then we go to social media, get some of the questions off there as well, and then we
Two quick ones. From your explanations, which I must say makes sense in the regard where you are putting them. But
Danny, your microphone. Yeah.
Can I be here?
Yeah, you can be here.
You are allowed.
I'm just struggling to come to terms with this, what I'm about to say. So, from what you are saying, it's like the FAS was okay with spending money on the 10 days in South Africa because of the privacy and the facilities, but we're going to ease off when it came to quality of opposition because they didn't have to pay for a high profile because Botswana was coming at a cheap. And that sort of superseded staying in Ghana, saving money by not traveling, spending less amount of money in terms of hotel fees and things, and then having to deal with not having the ideal privacy that you would have had, but having a high profile friendly because Namibia are coming to town and can give us that match up in terms of quality. So it's like it is okay to spend big money on going to South Africa, but the tests or the exam that we write before we go to the AFCON will not be that level of quality that we should expect at the AFCON. When it comes to money allocation, for me it's a bit dicey. So I think you need to further explain the reason. Is the principle of privacy so important that the test or the exam that you write, the friendly game that you write before the competition can be low quality and it will be okay?
Well, yes, Danike, thank you. I think that in all of this, we shouldn't forget that if you were looking to play a top 10 team, with the exception of Algeria that we spoke to, all the other teams are leaving Africa. All the other teams. Cameroon are not campaigning in Africa. Nigeria are not campaigning in Africa. Which other team? Tunisia.
We have the list. I can read it now.
So
Algeria are campaigning in Togo.
Yeah.
Angola are campaigning in the UAE. Burkina Faso in the UAE. Cameroon in Saudi Arabia. Cape Verde in UAE and Tunisia. Cote d'Ivoire, the host nation, are camping at home. DR Congo are going to the UAE. Egypt are camping at home in Egypt. Equatorial Guinea at home in Equatorial Guinea. Gambia are going to Saudi Arabia. Ghana now in Kumasi. Guinea in the UAE. Guinea-Bissau in Mali. Mali in Mali. Interesting. Guinea-Bissau are going to Mali. Mali will be in Mali. Mauritania will be in Tunisia. Morocco will be at home in Morocco. Mozambique will be in South Africa. Namibia will be here in Ghana. Nigeria will be in the UAE. Senegal will be at home in Senegal. South Africa will be at home in South Africa. Tanzania will be in Egypt. Tunisia will be at home in Tunisia. And Zambia are going to Saudi Arabia.
So you realize that the top 10 ranked teams on the continent, 90% of them will not be on the continent. So it means they are not available. You won't get them to play, with the exception of Algeria. And even Algeria, we had a discussion with Algeria, but I've already explained why we couldn't camp in Togo. And then I also touched on the Equatorial Guinea factor. I'm sure if the technical team had agreed to go to Equatorial Guinea, we would have had them, because they were camping at home.
What was their reason, though? That was, I think, one of the few countries you didn't mention the reasons as you did for Togo and other countries.
It was a straight no. It was just a straight no. Yeah.
No reason.
It was just a straight no.
You don't fancy the country?
No, because I didn't
prove it.
I didn't make the decision. I am not in the position to say whether they fancy the country or not. But it was just a straight no. So Danike, yes, the money issue, the financial consideration is very important. Camping in Ghana at a low cost, and then not get a friendly, because at the time, if we had decided to camp in Ghana, Namibia had not confirmed they were coming here at that time when we made the decision. But we had confirmed a friendly in South Africa, and even though South Africa would have cost us a substantial amount of money, we would have gotten our friendly anyway in South Africa. If you were camping in Ghana, if we had taken the decision 3 weeks ago to camp in Ghana, then we were going to now fund the transport and other expenses of the team we want to play. And obviously, you wouldn't get a top team because they are all going outside Africa. Egypt will not play you because you will face them in the Cup of Nations. So these are some of the dicey areas, very, very critical areas that you look at and you veer into in making decisions like what we made last week and what has been made this week or yesterday. At least what I know is that yes, the serenity and the intrusion free and what have you, even though is a key factor, another thing that also helps the argument today is the fact that Namibia were coming in, we're not too sure of the country they were going to play or the team they were going to play. I'm sure they were thinking of playing a club side or something. But eventually when we decided that we are going to be home based, they said, oh, then that's something good. So it helps us and it helps them as well, and we've both agreed to face each other before we all fly out to Cote d'Ivoire for the tournament.
Second one, but before I go to the second one, you also mentioned Chris said the facilities in South Africa, and you look at Morocco, Egypt, who have invested in facilities in their home country, so they are able to stay at home, and it's not really a problem when you take the serenity and privacy aside. So maybe going forward, I think the FA should also, especially considering the report from last week, the FA should also put some work in and then get facilities in
FIFA forward.
The FIFA forward.
Yeah.
It will benefit all of us.
Pram will come good very soon. Don't worry.
Amen. But second one, Henry. This one is on my heart. it's not really like a.
You have teases on your phone.
Oh yeah, but I will not. Today is not the day. Today you are here, so this one I'll tell you something from my heart. Look, I'm saying this from a fan's point of view. In 2008, we were already in love with the Black Stars.
Yeah.
It didn't really matter if they were going outside to go and camp. We didn't really care because we knew eventually they were coming home and we were going to give them our best. But the disposition between the fans and the national team over the past 2-3 years, I think it's at an all-time low. I've never seen something like this before, where the GFA has to beg fans to come to, has to do activations. In 2008, we didn't need Apia to tell us to come to the stadium. Do you get it? And I'm not talking about the AFCON. I'm talking about whether it was across.
Just actually telling the other people to come. Let
them come, and we'll beat them. That sort of thing. So when I look at some of the communications from the FA and how the FA handles the team, it's almost like you are saying one thing and bring back the love, but the actions are not showing it, because consistently it's like you are taking the team further and away from the people. And when you are taking the team further away from the people, you see, it's not by force. And I perfectly understand from a technical point of view when you say you want to train behind closed doors. Every top team does it, because you need a certain level of focus when you are preparing for some of these competitions. But there has to be a consideration, especially when you look at the emotional measure of love between the people, that's the fans and the team at this point. Look, you can go to South Africa and do all the work possible, but if you go straight from South Africa to Cote d'Ivoire with how our relationship is with our team, we don't care. If we go and lose, we'll bash. In fact, there are Black Stars fans today who are praying that the team will lose so that they can have
stages.
It's that bad.
Yeah.
So I think
I feel very sad when
on
when
top
I
of the list, especially during this time, from an FA's point of view, from a PR point of view, the fans have to feel. We have to feel our team. You have to bring that love back, and bringing that love back means that, look, if we are not reporting on the team, they don't know what is happening. If activations are not happening, some of the players have not, they don't even know what it means to be. Since Iñaki turned Ghanaian,
He's always been a Ghanaian.
Since he turned Ghanaian, because
since he became a Black Star.
A Black Star, okay. Yeah. Since Iñaki became a Black Star, he's not had that. I remember when Agogo in 2008.
Exactly, yeah.
It was like there wasn't even activations at that time, but we had access. We could feel them. The love was there. So Agogo was readily accepted, like one of us. There's still this distance, and if we continue to strict measures, there are no training behind closed doors, we are going here, security fans are not allowed. I think a compromise should be made sometimes, and especially at this time when the love is at an all-time low, because look, it will go a long way. You say it all the time, you need us, we need you. We want you to win, and you also need us to support. So if you need us to support, and you can clearly see that right now, like we've done Akao, Black Stars fans in the team, we've done Aka. It's not been like this before, and I'm talking from a fan's point of view. So some of these considerations has to be made, especially at this point in time. It can't be overlooked,
okay.
And it should be at top 3 priorities in terms of preparation for this competition, which is at home. Because last week when Chris spoke on TalkSport, he spoke about the fact that we are close. He expects fans to. But when you look at the ticket prices, we are not in top 5, and it shows. There was a time where Ghanaians were willing, we'll pay money. By this time, we are up there, but people are not doing that because
I understand your concern, Daniel. But Gary, the truth of the matter is that the team is not consistent in terms of results. The 2008 example Danike is citing here, the love was on a high because when the Black Stars were stepping out of the tunnel to play a game, even when you are a commentator or you are covering the game, you know, you can even close your eyes. And I'm speaking from experience. At the time in 2008, I was on commentary for the AFCON. I could even close my eyes and know where John Pinto will send the ball to at any given time, or where Essien will find himself anytime Anthony Annan gets the ball. Today, it's not the case. every team that is not consistent in terms of results suffer these fates in one way or the other. We have not been consistent. We have been absolutely poor in recent years in terms of results. Now, when you continue to lose or you even win ugly, and the fans don't enjoy what you put on the pitch, because aside everything, the four of us in this studio know that aside everything, the results is what matters. But when the result does not look good, you don't expect the fans to be happy. So I perfectly agree. But what we have done, again, what we have done since our game against Nigeria in Kumasi during Otoado's time, we spent 3 days in training. The first 2 days were closed. The third day, 24 hours to the game, he allowed the fans to come in, and I enjoyed every bit of it on that fateful day. Under Chris, his first 2 training sessions are behind closed doors, and then the third day he will say, okay, they can watch the last 10 minutes or they can watch the last 15 minutes. Let's not forget that coaches expect or demand certain things from the FA in doing their job, and you have to provide it. When the coach says, I want to train behind closed doors, sometimes it's difficult convincing the coach to compromise, because that is what he has called for. If the results don't go well, his head is on the chopping block. Now, in every decision we have made since March 2022 until today, is purely technical. Purely, nothing administrative. Purely technical, 100%. When they submit their report for the team, let's say we have a game in a week's time, the technical team is expected to submit their report to the FA for perusal and what have you. One key component that is always high on the agenda is training behind closed doors. And I share this experience a lot of time when I am speaking to issues concerning decisions of coaches. I picked a flight from Ghana, did a transit in Abu Dhabi, went to Turin in Italy, going there to interview Kojo Asamoah with my crew. Juventus approved the interview 1 month before we flew to Italy. Upon arrival, Antonio Conte says, no, I've got 3 games in 1 week. That week when we arrived, they had Bayern Munich to play. I'm talking about 2012. They had Bayern Munich to play in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. Then the weekend, they had the Turin derby against Torino. And then the next Wednesday, they had Palermo. And he said, Kwajo is not available, so you come back next year. I packed my things and left and came back. The interview didn't happen because the manager says it's not happening, even though the club had already approved. Now, again, there was an experience in Cameroon. I think we have not hammered this much. There was an experience in Cameroon 24 hours to our game against Gabon. In Cameroon, the game we drew. You know, we lost to Morocco in the first game, and then we drew with Gabon. Andre scored, I think, in the 13th minute, and then they equalized later. 24 hours to the game, the lineup of the team was public, because the first 15 minutes, that is mandatory for the media to cover, some of the guys decided not to leave the stadium. There we do not even have control. And he watched the training of the team for the entire period, and he could tell who will start and who will not start. And 24 hours to the game, the lineup was out. And that helped the opponents to also arm themselves in coming into the match. So some of these experiences is always guiding us going into the future. And aside these experiences I have pointed out, the coach's decision is always paramount. In this case, the man who is at the helm says, I do not want my training sessions to be public, or I don't want to open my training sessions to the public or the media, but I will have media engagement once a while, depending on the situation, to brief the media as regards what is happening. We are looking at the possibility of also allowing the media to come in to cover the friendly against Namibia. That has not been finalized, but there are situations where coaches go into friendly games and they want to play behind closed doors. It's also something that happens in our industry. So I think that, Daniel, in all of this, if it is that the Black Stars beat Madagascar 6-0, like we see Appiah's time when we beat Lesotho 7-0, the light off incident, and then we beat Central Africa 5-0, every opponent we went to, if we had won 5-0 in Comoros in the recent qualifier, all these arguments wouldn't come in, because then you will know that the coach is doing something and it's what yielding results. But unfortunately, we train behind closed doors. We go to play the match, we don't get the result, and so people keep asking, somebody
maybe when you open up the results will start coming.
It's not my call.
I get it. I get that.
Unfortunately, it's not my call.
Yeah.
So guys,
You know?
Muftar, you haven't asked any questions. Muftar, we have
Well,
50.
I actually do not think I've got questions. I've listened to Harry. I wasn't anyone who actually even had issues with the decision of the FA to go and camp in South Africa. I also made my phone calls, and I understood the explanations people gave. In fact, just about 2 days ago, that was on Wednesday, I understand there was a meeting at the airport residential area involving the president, the minister, the chief director, where they all had to come into agreement on what is best for the country. So if they decided to South Africa because they thought that was the best place for them to go and camp, they had the support of the ministry. But the ministry, I was made to understand later, rescinded their decision to also let them go to South Africa and all that. So I've never been anyone who has issues with where Ghana wants to camp. I was following the issues on social media. I saw what was happening, but I never really commented because I've taken a break from social media for some personal reasons.
No, Muftar, I think this is important. Muftar, I think this is important because, again, for all of us here, you have, uncharacteristically, you had a divergent opinion where you seem to agree with the decision to go to South Africa. Our colleague Redwan also always says that, you know, he's always in agreement when the coach wants to go out there. But I'd love to know, Muftar, why, when you got the explanations that you got, why did you think that it was fine? You know, we thought that for the public purse argument, there were better options, cheaper options, and things could have been done in such a way that we could come, for example.
So Gary, this is it. The technical team believes that they will have the best of environment to prepare when they go to South Africa. Like Henry mentioned earlier, the back stops with them. If we give them the support and they go there and it doesn't go well, then we'll not tell them, okay, you said you needed A, B, C. We gave you A, B, C, but it still didn't give us the result. I've never been anyone who doesn't want to give people the support when they ask for it. They think the best environment to prepare was in South Africa. And in fact, like Henry mentioned, Ghana was one, Togo was another. All these things, that was why I asked the question whether if Abu Dhabi was part. Because I heard many of the countries that the FA had planned that they wanted to go and camp. And Ghana ultimately is now the place they want to camp. Sitsofe asked whether it is a compromise. I feel it is a compromise because when the meeting happened on Wednesday, that closed around 1 a.m., they still needed to reach some agreements and be convinced that, yes, when we do this, it is in the interest of the national team, and when we camp here, we are going to do well. And in fact, I also heard if there was a possibility of even camping in Atsirim, whether that was a place that was good enough to be camped. And the explanation that I was made to understand the FA group was that, do we have the best of facilities to prepare in Ghana? They are not available. So if the best of facilities are not available in Ghana, and we can have the best of facilities in South Africa to prepare and go and do well in the tournament, so that the performance we witnessed in Cameroon wouldn't happen again, why would anyone have reservations about that? So personally, I never...
Okay. All right, Muftar has made his point. We have 10 minutes. I think we should open the phone lines, right?
Before you open...
let me just mention the number and then you talk.
Please.
Haven't you had enough time?
0302 216-541. 0302-216-541. Let's open the phone lines. If you have questions, we have 10 minutes. Let's ask Henry the questions we want, and then we at least we know. I'll also ask him before I forget, Henry, when should we expect the final squad? But go ahead.
Yeah. You see, I'm very. The tournament's important, right? And I gather now that it's possible you're going to play maybe only Namibia ahead of the competition.
Yeah.
You've already explained why we couldn't play Algeria and Togo after they sent their invitation and blah 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 because facilities.
Yeah, we spoke.
And you've mentioned that. But while we camp in Ghana, isn't it possible that we still could have played Algeria? Military jets could just fly us to Algeria, to Togo, play a game.
Because we have precedent. When we camped in 2019 in Abuja, and somebody just reminded me.
Yeah.
We camped in Jabe Ali. Jabe Ali, and it was far from where we played the friendly.
Yes,
inside Dubai.
Yeah,
so it's not something we've not done before.
Yeah, this one is Togo. So if military, and this is the best time we can get every government support. They could just fly us to Togo. We play against a high-profile team like Algeria. Test ourselves. Come back to Ghana. Wrap it up with Namibia. And maybe we are ready and well tested for the AFCON. I was wondering how
the phone lines are open. 0302216541.
Friendly games.
0302. Hold on.
Okay.
0302216541. I really want the public to, one or two questions to come. Please call, so you don't say we sat here and we cooked the interview. Please, that's what they say.
Call and ask your heart question.
Your heart question. What is on your heart?
Yes,
so you don't say that we cooked the interview in some pot.
Scripted.
What is sleeping on your heart?
Henry, please go ahead.
I was saying that yes, it's a good point. Sitso raised. At least you would have had 2 higher intensity games, which will put you in a good stead going into the tournament. But at the time we were talking to Algeria, Namibia was not in the picture. Namibia was not in the picture. We actually wrote several letters. Now what happens during this time is that you write several letters to all the countries that have qualified for the competition. So we wrote tons of letters to countries, inquiring about where they will camp and whether it is possible to play a friendly. Remember, Gary, 2 years ago when we were preparing for the tournament in Cameroon, we announced the team will play 3 friendly matches. We ended up playing only one.
Yes.
Because at the 11th hour, 2 of the teams pulled out because they had changed their camping base. Algeria flew in later because Algeria had played the Afro-Asian tournament in Qatar. So they were there anyway.
Cup,
They left some of their home base players in Qatar, and then the foreign base players left.
Yes.
And later when they got ready for the tournament, the foreign base players came. So that was when they confirmed the friendly. The friendly we lost 3-0, in Qatar. So sometimes preparation does not go the way you would ordinarily.
Okay, so Henry, we have 8 minutes, guys. Good afternoon. Who's calling? Merry Christmas and welcome to Joy FM. Welcome to Game Plan.
Good afternoon, Gary.
Yes, talk to me and talk to Henry most importantly.
Yeah, I'm Hamza. I'm calling from Tesano.
Nice one.
I want to ask about why the coach had to go to Talk Sports to make an interview about the AFCON and not maybe Joy Sports. And also, why didn't we decide to camp in Cote d'Ivoire? Cote d'Ivoire is camping home. We could play with them, and then we could come there. That's very close to us. Thank you.
Okay, so 2 questions. Why was Cote d'Ivoire not an option?
You wouldn't get the serene atmosphere you are looking for because the number of Ghanaians in Cote d'Ivoire, you have no idea.
Okay, we have an idea.
Yeah. a number of Ghanaians.
And then 2, he's asking about the coach.
The Chris, yes. So 2 months ago, Talksport sent me an email.
So you are the one who approved that thing?
Yes. That
just want to put on record.
That they wanted to interview Chris. So just last week, Fintu also sent an email that he wanted to. I think Muftao also sent one.
Yeah.
But whenever I receive such requests, I need to discuss with the coach and find out if it's something he's willing to do. There are days where he says straight no. If I show you the number of messages I have received on my phone in the last two weeks from Egyptian media outlets wanting to interview the coach, you have no idea.
Yeah. As for them,
and they are very aggressive.
Yeah,
they send a message. Hey, we want to talk to him. We want to talk to very, very aggressive. But I took a personal decision to embargo any interview in that part of the region of the continent because Egypt is in our group, but he would even speak before we play them anyway. 24 hours to the game, he would speak. So I took a personal decision not to grant them that.
Okay, so Henry, you've landed. Our more calls come in, please. So let me do this very quickly. 2 minutes. Papa, then we go. Mujab, can you eventually ask Henry whether Chris will be in Ghana to announce the squad or address the nation on his choices of the squad?
We are talking to him. We expect him in Ghana this weekend. When he arrives, we will plan and then we'll make it public.
Okay. More questions coming in. I think Henry has spoken very well. Ekuya Sapoma on Twitter. I want to put it to you today that last week it occurred to me that this person is a GFA person. Ekuya Sapoma, I'm telling you today that I've monitored your tweets and you are not Ekuya Sapoma, you are a guy, and I will find you. Let me read what he said. Good show, we are listening. And if you like, the name is Ekuya Sapo, SARPOMA 20. Look at the thread. He only insults us when we go against the GFA grain. This is the first time he has said anything positive to us. Good show, we are listening. I think Henry has spoken very well. Sometimes he needs to be coming for interviews to clear the ways because he allows the negativity to thrive too much. It's very avoidable sometimes.
Every Friday I'll be here.
Yo, welcome, bro. Any more questions? Oh, no phone calls. Please, hey, 0302-216-541. 0302-216-541. Sicho, no more questions.
Yeah, I think let me explain further on the Talk Sports thing.
Yes.
So I was saying that 2 months ago they sent an email, they wanted to interview Chris. It's just unfortunate that it happened on the very day CAF released the provisional squad. But we had planned for it, and then I spoke to Chris the night before the interview, only for CAF to release the provisional squad the day of the interview. So it was just an unfortunate coincidence, but we had never ever planned to put him out there on that particular day to talk about the AFCON when CAF released the squad list. It's unfortunate, but I just want to say again that he is open, he understands these things, and me, from experience, I don't think there is any problem. I've always availed him for interviews with specific reference to our brother at Asase. Achu, he called, he wanted to interview him. Chris was in town, I spoke to Chris, I discussed with him, he was open to it, and then it happened. So everybody who is looking ahead to a one-on-one with Chris, once he is available and he feels okay with it and the schedule permits it, there is no problem.
Okay, so it's 57. I have to play at.
Oh,
what's up?
I was going to ask, how come Tariq Lamptey is injured and is likely not to be available till end of January? And
but he has been put in the provisional.
But they were in the provisional lists. No communication between the and the club.
It's good to be proactive than being reactive. As we speak, Thomas is not playing, but Thomas too is in the squad. Now, it's not even possible, Gary. It's not possible to put a player's name in a squad without informing his club.
Okay.
It's not possible. Never. The club can take you on easily. So we speak to clubs. For instance, let me use a local example. Let me use a local example.
30 seconds.
There is a player at Aduana called Isaac Binta, who is leading the top scorers chart in the Ghana Premier League. Before the provisional squad came public, his name was in the squad. We spoke to Aduana. Aduana said he is injured, and they were not able to give us any timelines as regards when he is coming back. So we decided to take out his name.
Thank you, Henry Asante. Twum, we've had him here. We've opened the phone lines. Those who have wanted to ask have asked. Twitter, Facebook, I've gone through all the questions. We've covered all the bases that needed to be asked on Game Plan here on Joy 99.7 FM. Final show.
Unfortunately, next week Friday I will not be in Accra.
I know, right? This is the final show of the year. This is the final show of the year. My producer will beat me because of the advert. I've done the LPMs already.
He has done it.
I've done the LPMs, producer. Why? So thank you very much for joining us this year, guys. Let's do this again next year. Wishing you the best. Thank you to Danny K, to Henry Asante Twum, GFA spokesperson, Sicho, and to Muftar, who joined us all the way from his coded location. Same with Fento, who had to go and do some stuff. Gary Al Smith here, wishing you all the best. May the good Lord bless all of us.